Yo, it's TheGIBBYNATR. In this video I'm going to give you 12 tips that are going to help you die less in Modern Warfare. But before we get into it, me and it's Lukey are doing a giveaway of Modern Warfare. So if you'd like to enter that, go into the description and there'll be a link to the giveaway. Click it and follow the rules and you'll be entered. Without further ado, let's get straight into the tips. So my number one tip is to always keep your back to the edge of the map. Now, this is probably the biggest tip you can actually implement straight away that will have the biggest impact on your actual deaths. So when you're playing to the edges of the map and you have your back to the edge all the time, that means that you're not going to get shot in the back. And you know, if you play Call of Duty with friends or you've just heard people with mics on in lobbies, the number one thing people complain about is getting shot in the back. So already you're eliminating the number one cause of death in Call of Duty. So when I say keep your back to the edge of the map, I know it's not possible at all times, but when you're just setting off the game and you're setting off in your first life, just have it in your head to always kind of stick to the edges of the map. And when you are at the edges and you're flanking, just keep your back facing to the edge of the map and outside, because the outsides of the map are not playable, so there's never going to be enemies in those parts of the map. So there's no point in looking at them, and you can pretty much guarantee that there's not going to be any enemies there. So that means that you're not going to get shot in the back. So yeah, hopefully you put that into practice and you'll definitely see the results. Moving on to the second tip, it's a very simple thing, but it's another thing that people don't think about and they just take for granted. So it's really to focus on the minimap and the compass. They are so helpful. They tell you where enemies are that are shooting, and also when your teammates get UAVs, it tells you exactly where they are. So you really want to be looking at your minimap 70% of the time, and then the rest of the time be looking at the rest of the screen, because without your minimap awareness, you're going to be getting shot in the back all of the time. So these first two tips are really just to focus on that getting shot in the back, because everyone complains about it. If you're constantly looking at your minimap and your compass, you're going to know if there's people shooting behind you, and you're going to know that you need to turn around, or you need to just think about that and always keep it in mind in case you need to go back there and then you randomly come across an enemy. But if you have it in your head, that won't surprise you and you'll be ready for anything, and you're going to be less likely to die because you're going to be prepared. And that's the number one thing in dying less, is you need to be prepared for anything. And by checking your minimap all the time, you're going to know exactly where people are. Right, moving on to the number three tip, that's going to be cycling. So what do I mean by cycling? This might be a new term to you, but it's a very simple thing, and it's essentially that you don't want to be camping. So when you're going in, you're going on a kill streak, instead of just staying in the same spot, which is super predictable and the enemies are going to figure out exactly what you're doing, you want to be moving from spot to spot. It's going to make you less predictable and you're going to stay alive longer, because Call of Duty specifically spawns people next to you so they can get revenge kills on you. So they're just going to keep coming to you and coming to you, and they're going to figure out whichever god spot you're in, and they're going to kill you. They're going to throw grenades at you, they're going to throw flashbangs, so you need to be moving around non-stop. And that will come with practice. You'll figure out what is too long of a stay, because in some lobbies you literally can stay in one spot and you'll be able to get a nuke because the enemies are bad. But if you're playing against good players, they're going to figure your strategy out straight away and you're going to die. So just figure out who you're playing against and then figure out which spots to move back and forward to, and you'll definitely start dying less. Moving on to the fourth tip, is to use your teammates as bait. This is something that I don't see many people doing, but it is so helpful. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare, there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of places where there could be claymores. There's a lot of places where there could just be people camping in corners. So if you have teammates around you, let them push doorways first. Let them push corridors first. Let them go around corners. And then if they die, you know not to go there. And so you're essentially using them as your little guinea pig, and they can go out into the places that you're unsure of. So if you're on like a 20 kill streak and you're getting close to the nuke, don't go running out into the open or running into buildings. Just wait for a teammate to come along and let them do it for you. This is a game-changing tip, and if you put it into practice, you're going to die way less. So just remember to use your teammates as bait. That is probably the number one thing that teammates are useful for, is baiting. So moving on to the fifth tip, It's back to revenge spawns, but instead of having it where you're camping and then people are revenge spawning on you and then they come to you, we're going to go with the reverse. So a lot of people, when they die, they go back to the same person. I'm sure you've had it where you've been killed by the same person about 5 times in a row, maybe even more. I definitely have, and I've learned from that. So I know I used to just run back to the same person again until I'd kill them. But that isn't efficient. You feed them kills, that gets some kill streaks, and then they get even more kills. It's so dumb. You're just going to rack up your deaths. So what I want you to do, instead of just going back to the same enemy after every life, have a 3 death rule. If you die to the same person 3 times in a row, that's when you know you need to do something different. You need to flank them instead. You need to go to the opposite side of the map and just stay away from them. You just need to do something different to break the rut that you're in that's getting you killed non-stop. And that is going to help you die less for sure and increase your KD. So moving on to the 6th tip, I've got using STIM and restock. This is so game changing. STIM is a tactical equipment, and it is honestly the best tactical equipment in the game. It's going to allow you to regen your health pretty much after every gunfight, because you can put restock on, which is a perk too. That's going to allow you to regenerate them every 30 seconds. And in Modern Warfare, you don't get into gunfights very often, so 30 seconds is more than enough time for you to regenerate a new one. And STIM, it literally probably doubles your health regen time, and the health regen time in Modern Warfare is very slow. So by increasing that, you're increasing your chance of survival massively. And it's for those occasions when you get into one gunfight, you get made one hit and your screen's red, you're bleeding, and then you use STIM and you get into a gunfight straight after it. That's where it's most useful, because 99 times out of 100 you won't win those second gunfights if you're weak, because people are just going to mount you. But if you've got STIM, it's massively going to increase your chances of getting those kills. So definitely put STIM on, give it a shot, and make sure you have restock on, because that's kind of the clutch pairing, having those two together. So moving on to the 7th tip, it's to utilize jump shotting and drop shotting. So jump shotting is where you jump in the middle of the gunfight, and then drop shotting is when you you lie down and you go prone in the middle of the gunfight. This is just going to make it way harder for the enemies to kill you, and therefore you're going to die less. So it's definitely worth learning how to do. You can use tactical stick layout, which is going to allow you to go to prone with your right stick, or you can use stick and move, which allows you to jump with your right stick. Both of these are very clutch, and they're going to allow you to win more gunfights, and you're going to die less, and you're going to get more kills. So your KD is going to increase massively if you can learn how to jump shot and how to drop shot. So moving on to the 8th tip, we've got strafing. So what's strafing? Strafing is where you move left and right in the middle of the gunfight. So something that will really help you with this is using the lightweight stock. This is going to allow you to move faster whilst you're aiming down your sights. And all you want to do is, with your left stick, is just move it left and right whilst you're in the middle of gunfights. It'll take a bit of getting used to, but once you do, it helps massively. So it's going to throw the aim assist off of the enemy, and it's just going to make you a harder target because you're moving. And that's like the most important thing in Call of Duty, is to make yourself harder to hit. And obviously that's going to result in you dying less. So it's a great tip, put it into practice, and yeah, you should start dying less. So moving on to the 9th tip, we have your mindset. You need to get yourself into the right mindset. Something that really helped me back when I was a beginner. I don't really do this much now, but it's just having the mindset that you've only got one life. That is really going to impact the way that you play. If you say every life that this is the only life you have, you're going to play so much more conservatively and smartly. You're not going to make stupid pushes. You're not going to go into the mid-map, and you're not going to rush straight into buildings where there could be claymores. It's just going to make you slow down and think about things more. And that, just by thinking, you're going to make smarter decisions and you're going to die less. So definitely just give it a shot. Once you get to a more advanced stage in your skill, you won't have to do this because you can just rely on your skill. But in the early days, this is so important because you can't rely on your skill to win gunfights. You have to kind of be one step ahead of the enemy. So definitely give that a shot. Moving on to the 10th tip, it's just to design your class setups with a focus of stealth. So for example, putting suppressors on your guns, that's going to make it so that your weapon doesn't show up on the compass or on the minimap when you're firing, which is obviously great. And it's also going to make you quieter, so people won't be able to sound whore you, which is great. And then you could also put dead silence on, which is a field upgrade. It's not as overpowered as it used to be in the old CODs, but it's still pretty good. You could also put Ghost on, which is a perk too. This is going to make you invisible on the minimap. All of these perks and attachments and field upgrades are going to make it harder for the enemies to find you. And obviously, if they can't find you, then you're going to die less. So they're probably like the easiest things that you can implement into your game, because they're literally just like perks and whatever. So it just means choosing those perks over other ones, and that is going to result in you dying less. So definitely give that a shot. Very easy way of getting yourself to die less. Moving on to the 11th tip, it's to use UAVs and counter UAVs. This is pretty self-explanatory. These are going to make it so that if you've got a UAV, enemies are going to show up on your minimap, you're going to be able to find them, and you're also going to see if they're coming up behind you or just where they are, so you're not dying. And then you've also got the counter UAV, which you can call in when enemies get a UAV, meaning that they won't be able to find you anymore, which is obviously a great thing. Now, moving on to the final 12th tip, it's to use AI kill streaks. Now, I know you've all killed yourself by accident by calling in a hailstorm at the wrong time, and there's a person right in front of you and they just get a free kill on you because you pull out your iPad to call in your hailstorm missile and then they kill you. It's awful and it's so annoying. I've done it many times when I've got my gunship or my chopper gunner, and then straight away as soon as I pull it out, someone comes along and kills me. But by using AI kill streaks like the Helo Pilot and the kill streaks like that, you're going to make yourself way less likely to get killed, like to die whilst you're using a streak. And then your streak's going to get the kills at the same time that you can get kills. So overall, you're going to get a lot of kills and barely any deaths, which is great. They're all of my tips for how you can die less in Modern Warfare. If you have any other ones, make sure you put them down in the comments so you can share them around with people and we can all improve together. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like on it and then subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks just like this. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we are doing a giveaway, so make sure you go into the description and enter that. But other than that, it's been the GIBBYNATR, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.